Hey there, guys. It's Eileen, and I want to do many things at the same time, preferably, but that's not going to happen. So I just have to pick a subject here. And so, what I've been thinking about recently, there have been quite a number of changes in my life, especially on the inside. And what I keep realizing is that a lot of the actual effectiveness of the changing inside is thanks to the Tummo practice that I have been keeping up all through this year. So I want to go into, if possible, I think that's the best plan for now, for today. It is Tuesday, 10 to 3, the 26th or 27th something of October, and give or take. Who cares anyway? I would like to give you a Tummo Progress Report as it stands as today, because there's quite a lot of stuff that I could go into in a lot more detail that I think would be interesting, to watch. I have not ever found, I haven't looked recently, I must say, because I tend to want to focus on my own experiences more recently, but there isn't really anybody out there doing Tummo, doing this particular approach and vlogging about it, or publishing in any form or shape what their experiences are like. So if only for that, I still think that I'm doing rather a nice job, even though it's been quite intermittent in terms of progress reports and updates and stuff like that. Because life, it's been really weird. It's been weird for everybody. It's the weirdest year in a long time, I think, in people's memory. And a lot of the time, I think, so for me it has really been like that, what I'm thinking here is trying to manage the weirdness on the outside, and then at the same time or in a parallel manner keep your practice alive, whatever that means, whatever is central for us to how we feel, how we live, how we keep ourselves sane, in a world that is often increasingly incomprehensible or scary. Basically, simply scary. So I've got me the second cup of coffee of the day. And so Tummo, where to start? I've done quite a number of reintroductions of the practice already, so I don't think I want to go into the exact whys and wherefores and how it works and all that. You can find that on my channel if you're interested. At this point, it's more like, where do you begin? When basically the energy of the Tummo, what happens, what I can give you at this point is that it looks like the energy of the Kundalini energy basically becomes usable in a manner that is much more straightforward and much more directly healing on all levels to a person practicing Tummo. So the secret of Tummo is nothing else than channeling, conducting, directing the Shakti energy, the Kundalini energy, into the area in the lower belly, in the more or less the second chakra area. You have to feel where to go with this and figure it out. But then once it sits there for a while, it can start transforming. And once you have, a couple of things have struck me from day one that I figured this out. I figured it out pretty quickly, having read up on the matter and having been interested in this stuff for quite a long time. Also, it was like, okay, so where exactly do you want me to take this? Okay, this is where it's supposed to be going. I've described this process and this looking for this area in the lower belly a couple of times already. So I won't go into an endless repetition. I won't go into a loop with that thing again. But there's a couple of things that have struck me from more or less from day one. Is that number one, once you have started that process of this Kundalini energy finding its way into that area and then onward from there, it tends to continue on that path by itself, also when you're not paying attention. So, Tummo is a fantastic way, really, of getting Kundalini energy actually incorporated into your body in such a way that it becomes, like I said, a lot more easy to use, a lot more easy to help you. It will help us with whatever it is that we're dealing with. Once you have gotten it into that track, into the mode of establishing itself in the Tummo area in the underbelly, it will also continue on that path. Once you have led it, you have to point it in that direction and be there for it to keep it company, if you like, while in the first couple of sessions, and then afterwards it will do itself. So that's quite significant. A lot of my personal Tummo processes and developments, they go slowly, they go steadily. For me, at least, that's how it has happened. And a lot of them, they actually do themselves. I do not have to pay attention to this the whole time. I do not have to work my ass off to, excuse my French, to, keep this thing happening, keep it alive at all. It is true that after a while, if I don't say I would be interested in not doing any Tummo practice for a couple of weeks, which isn't naturally the case because I enjoy it so much, then after a while it would be slightly more difficult getting the energy into there, because what happens is that in the underbelly and in the lower back area and everything in between, there's tension that accumulates in the bowels, in the female organs or the male organs, in the muscles, in the tendons, in your hip joints, all over. There's always tension of some sort or other. There can be toxins, it's never a completely, open, blissful. You're not 5 years old. If you're watching this, you are very likely to be over 5 years old, I think. Okay, so then that means that your body is going to have these tensions stored away inside it somewhere. So as I've said quite a number of times also already, the only real thing that you need to get the Kundalini or Shakti energy running in your system is to relax enough around the base chakra, around the tailbone area, and all the stuff that is more or less at the bottom of your spine down there. If you get that area to completely relax, I can get that easily enough. That tends to be okay, what with having done quite a bit of practice. What happens for me now is, like, for example, I'm on my period now. There is tension a little way inward, a little higher up at, I've no idea which number vertebrae. You could look that up, I suppose. But there's quite a specific area where normally I would have my Kundalini energy come up along my spine and then move forward into my underbelly like so and become available for Tummo, right? And where in that bend right there before it moves forward, there's like an area that's messed up due to my hormonal situation at the moment, due to the fact that basically what my uterus wants to keep all the kundalini for itself because it has a job to do. And I take that into consideration. So there's another really important point there. If you're female like me and you're in a fertility state still, and probably, some people out there I know that don't really necessarily have their uteruses anymore or their cycles, you will still have a cycle. It's still in there somewhere because they didn't just grab the file and take it away. You may not have the organs anymore. There's, all those considerations to think of. However, there will still be phases where the programming of the energy system that is down there will be about, give me that energy because I have this job to do once every lunar cycle, or more or less, give or take. So that makes the practice of Tummo a bit more tricky, a bit more fiddly for a female to work continually. All you have to do, of course, is remind yourself of how good it feels when you're doing it. So, after a while, you pick it up again. You pick it up after the period or whenever, as soon as it is possible again. And there's plenty Kundalini Shakti energy in the earth coming into your system if you let it. There is no lack of Kundalini energy. Isn't that good? I mean, this is an inexhaustible supply of energy. The only problem is that there are, of course, tensions and blockages. And what I have felt so far is that when there is tension and a blockage, or one type or another, it's just gonna say, okay, you don't need, or you can't use me at this moment. I'm gonna go wherever I can. And there's another point that I wanted to point out, which I just thought of, I think this morning or maybe late last night. The difference. What's the difference? What really happens to Kundalini energy, to your Kundalini energy, okay, once it has become transformed into Tummo? I found one particular characteristic to apply here, because Kundalini energy, as it comes into the body by itself through the tailbone, through the root chakra, okay, it has this particular property, is that it'll go outward inside your body. Still, it will go to whatever system is receptive to it. That can be your skin, it can be your bloodstream, it can be inner chemistry, metabolism kind of things, all sorts of stuff. All those systems use the Shakti the whole time. So there's a nature, a quality to the Shakti as it comes into the body in the first stage of diverging, like so, diverging, spreading out, just like light does, basically. And now, if you proceed to do a Tummo focus work, you introduce this energy into the system of the second chakra, right? At the under half of the second chakra where all this is happening. It is transformed in the sense that it doesn't really do this diverging anymore. It becomes like a laser beam, really. It becomes a straight bundle, much more condensed kind of energy. And so you cannot see it. So I cannot show you this is what it looks like, but you get the idea. It is, of course, a metaphor. I suppose it is a metaphor. It is what I feel. What happens? It happens in my solar plexus, in my heart area, my heart chakra, has been all over the place, what with all my changes and things in my life recently. Um, Especially lately, I mean, the past couple of weeks have been particularly interesting and I suppose I should say revolutionary, except that a lot of it was a long time in the making in terms of me getting control over how I feel. That has been the aim of this whole story from day one for me. I was born in a situation that was less than, completely happy. However, I am a happy person and I have fought and worked to reclaim my personal happiness and my personal faith in myself and my trust in life and my connection to life and a couple of other important things like that. And it has worked. It has all come together. Recently, it's been like the last, what's that thing called? The capstone in an arch, has been put into place. And there's a whole lot of stuff inside me now that I don't need anymore. So strategies and fears and phobias and scares and reflexes and stuff like that I suppose will more or less, with my own willing, start to filter out of my life, more or less. And I will be becoming stronger and more the person that I am supposed to be. This is what the whole deal was about. So this effect of this vibration, of this energy shunting off to the side, pushing away from the middle line, so to speak, in order to look for systems that could use it, right? That is what changes with Tummo. It becomes much more focused and it can at times feel extremely powerful, especially around here. That is something that is, it goes up and down. It isn't necessarily 100% pleasant the whole time. But you also can tell while you are in a phase like that it is for a reason that it is uncomfortable. That there is probably, you know best, right? That's always my strategy in this whole thing for myself has been, I am the one who's supposed to be fixing this. I am the one who has been dragging this carcass around for 50 years, who has been in my troubles. If only I am honest enough and clear-headed and I care enough about the material, whatever it is that's in front of me, I can tell what's happening. And so I can also, the Tummo energy, the transformed Shakti energy inside us brings out all the bad. So that is why I have been going on about the narcissism bit, the problems with people that I've experienced and that a lot of other people have experienced, in one extreme form being gaslighting, and being sold a truth that isn't your own for political reasons, for dominance reasons or for whatever kind of a reason. All those things were really important for me because it lives in here. It lives in here. It lives in how much time I spend out of a pseudo kind of a loyalty, attachment for lack of inner self-awareness. That is the old mode, so I get this, that's one Tummo result that I have obtained, especially lately, more and more, is there's an old world and a new world for me now. And the old world was all about loyalty, attachment, and not distinguishing between them and me. That's the capstone. Knowing that I am not not only am I not like them in many ways, I am like them in a number of ways. That's fine. That doesn't have anything to do. But there is such a thing as a self, and that is what you have to discover, and that is what Tummo does. Is the only, it's the best path, to the self is Tummo. And everything that's tangled and twisted and that you have sold yourself out on, fades slowly away doing this. Eventually, you do not even need to, I think, at least in my experience and in the way my personality works, it isn't an option to go off and fight things now, because I'm just simply not interested. So I'm gonna have me a bit more coffee, so thank you. Because that's an important, you see how it's all connected. My perception of nature has changed enormously, deepened, not changed necessarily. It has just become extra dimensional all the way in. I can walk around with mushrooms in my hands and absorb the energies that come from them, and that's just amazing, and I've been able to do that kind of thing with crystals before, so that's why I took this next step, especially recently. But I'm looking around a bit for potential other examples. What I'm assuming is that people perceive energies all the time. It's normal and natural and healthy, only a lot of people aren't aware of it. So this whole the recent thing, what I've been up to over the past, I think, 2 months or so, has been dealing with my past patterns in terms of narcissism and gaslighting. And I'm sorry to be so rambly, but that's just my social core. So there's the nature aspect that's off to the side, in fact, because that's completely fine and it has changed and deepened, but it's only been, there haven't been any big surprises between me and the mushrooms, so that's cool. It's with people that I've had a couple of rather striking surprises, and actually it's been going on for all of 2020, unearthing basically my own what for a lot of people, and I am assuming also for my mother, would have looked like a lack of backbone. I was just way too much of a softie. You could slap me around. You could push me around. I was a total massive pushover for most of my life. And that includes, I think that includes still today, because I'm just, it's also, it's also in my birth chart. I just don't have what it takes to put up a nice fight with somebody, to go against the pattern. If I don't like the pattern somewhere, I will just leave. I will just go away. All I can do is be this person right here and see where that gets me. And the recent development has been for me to experience fully, and that's just it's been so glorious, and that's also what I want to tell you about. It has been to notice that, to feel and notice and become aware more and more that even though I spent all of my life, all of those 54 years, obeying everybody's rules, being everybody's puppet, and generally not having a real personal self at all, just like a textbook narcissist. I was undifferentiated from both my parents, who I think were in several different ways, themselves undifferentiated. So we were writing the same code over and over and over again. And it manifested as a curse, the Imperious Curse in Harry Potter, where somebody just points the wand at them and goes Imperio, and the other guy has to execute whatever little dance it is that the number one guy has in mind, you know? It has been exactly like that for generation after generation in my family. And now that I'm saying it, I can sense my whole underbelly going, yeah, and it was awful. It was freaking awful. Every day, my mother was sick all of my life. That is up until my 28th year, you know, in 1995, she passed away. I have had to carry around with me the memories of her being incapacitated and unable to live and unable to enjoy and unable to, sorry for this sound because I'm realizing that I haven't turned off the sound of my phone because there's just a message coming in. So let me do that. I think I did that all wrong. This is going to be a messy video. Because, okay, so I wanted to show you one of the oldest Rose Oracle cards. Can you see that there's a person at the top half of the image there that's running away from this pink heart on this side here? See? And this is actually a dream I had when I was 14 years old or so. So that's how old this stuff is. I'm going to wrap this up right now because now I have to know what my video has actually done. Thank you so much for watching, and you know, whichever part I've recorded, or maybe not, as it is. Thank you. See you next time. Bye for now.